From forest to flagpole. You might be surprised to know that Anchorage's tallest flagpole has a pretty interesting backstory.
In this week's Storytime with Aunt Phil, author Laurel Downing Bill tells us why it was originally believed to be a giant joke from our neighbors in Southeast.
Historic Anchorage City Hall. It's where a 140-foot pole once stood, a little bit bigger than this one.
Yeah, it was installed back in 1959 to fly our nation's newest flag, the one that now had 49 stars on it. But its size, its height, a little over the top. So much so, Laurel, that people thought it was actually a big joke.
Yeah, when it arrived in Anchorage, a lot of Anchorage people were saying that Ketchikan, where it came from, had set it here as a joke because they didn't think people of Anchorage would know what to do with it. The people of Ketchikan searched for the tallest tree they could find, and they cut it off, and then it took 20 loggers to do that, as well as bark it, and then bulldoze it through 40 miles of wilderness to get it onto a barge that went 1,000 miles through the treacherous seas to get it to Anchorage for Anchorage's flagpole. 140 feet. So the theory wouldn't go away. Years later, a news article came out and it claimed it was a joke again. Yes, it was the pole that a gag built. Well, that was put to rest when former Mayor George Beyer, who had been the chairman of the Parks and Recreation Committee at the time of the flagpole, said, no, we came up with the idea, and it was a gift from one all-American city to another to have the tallest flagpole to fly the newest flag in Alaska's largest city.
And Laurel, as we mentioned, the pole used to be here. I know it went through some changes after '59, but then was eventually taken down. Can you kind of fill in the middle for us?
Sure. In 1961, they crowned this beautiful flagpole with a globe. It was made by the steel workers as a gift to Anchorage. And then a few years later, they noticed dry rot, so they had to cut off the pole and drop it down. It was a 90-foot pole then.
Okay.
And then in '87, they cut it off again, and they moved it over to Delaney Park, where you have the Veterans Memorial. And it stood there for a while until it was replaced by a 110-foot pole. Well, that poor pole got knocked over by a huge wind in 2012. And so when the pole fell over, that big, beautiful globe crashed and split open like a melon. And what rolled out was a time capsule inside of a Maxwell coffee can. I remember that. There was stuff in there from like the 50s. Yeah, late 50s, early 60s. You had a 1960 penny. Gosh, they had news reports of Armstrong going out into space as the first American. So it was very, very cool, but nobody even knew it was in there.
Wow. And that is your Monday morning history lesson. Who knew the history of a flagpole could be so interesting? Right?
Now you know.
Who knew? I thought when, we were going over the list, I thought a flagpole.
Yeah.
Why does she want to talk about a flagpole? Now I know. That's pretty cool. Next week, we're going to be talking about Anchorage's first butcher.
Yeah. The Oscar Anderson Home Museum, which you may know, it's down on M Street near Bootleggers Cove. So the history behind that house.
Pretty cool story there as well. 6:55.